Coming on the air this morning with breaking news from Dayton, Ohio, a second mass shooting in the United States in less than 24 hours. Overnight, 9 dead in Dayton after a shooter fired a long gun outside on a street in a popular nightlife district. Police were nearby when the shooting began. Several officers helped to shoot and kill the gunman in what they say was a very short period of time.
We're going to turn our details to that deadly mass shooting in West Texas that left 7 people dead, 22 others injured, including a 17-month-old girl.
This shooting was the second major mass shooting in Texas since 22 people were killed earlier this month in El Paso.
Investigators are trying to figure out just how much planning went into this shooting. They say this employee showed up at work with a gun on a day he was being fired, and when it was all over, lives were shattered, and yet another American town dealing with bloodshed and tears.
Breaking news story, a mass shooting at a government building in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Police say a man who was a longtime employee of the Public Works Department suddenly opened fire in that building, killing at least 11 people and injuring others. We've also learned the gunman is also dead after a firefight with police.
Breaking news about that deadly mass shooting in a Southern California bar and country music venue. The Ventura County Sheriff says a gunman opened fire inside as it was crowded with more than 100 people, many of them college students. He killed 12 people, including a sheriff's sergeant who was responding to the scene. Police found the shooter dead inside, and they reportedly have identified him.
Authorities just revealed the names of the 11 victims, ranging in age from 97 to 54. Among them is Daniel Stein. He was 71 years old and had reportedly just become a new grandfather. It's just been 24 hours since Robert Bauer stormed into this synagogue and said to one responding law enforcement officer, "I just want to kill Jews."
Country star Jason Aldean was on stage, with automatic gunfire quickly drowning out his voice. Music stops and he runs off stage. The audience huddling on the ground.
Relax. Right now, we need your truck. We just need to get people over to the hospital, okay?
In classrooms during the gunman's rampage.
Oh my God!
The shooter reportedly first pulled a fire alarm to get more students out of the classroom, maximizing potential victims.
Let's go.
Welcome to CDS News. Today we're going to be talking about gun violence.
On August 3rd, 2019 at 10:39 a.m., Patrick Crucius, a 21-year-old from Dallas, Texas, entered a Walmart at El Paso, Texas with an AK-47. He killed 22 people and he also injured 24. His aim, as he told the police later, was to kill many Mexicans, which was a very low act of racism. This is the 7th deadliest shooting in the U.S. since 1949, yet it is one of the many hundreds that we have per year.
In America, guns kill more than 35,000 men, women, and children every single year.
This is terrible. Also, among high-income countries, the United States accounts for 80% of all firearm deaths, 86% of women killed by firearms, and 87% of all children up to the age of 14 who are killed by firearms.
The U.S. government has clear and urgent obligations to protect the people living in this country from gun violence. But the U.S. has a patchwork of inconsistent and inadequate federal and state gun control laws, and has failed to take all measures necessary to prevent gun violence.
Yes, the National Rifle Association held its annual convention with the slogan, "Stand and Fight." Wayne LaPierre, the CEO, says, "There are terrorists and home invaders and drug cartels and knockout games and rapers, haters, campus killers, airport killers. I ask you, do you trust the government to protect you? We are on our own. The things we care about the most are changing. It's why more and more Americans are buying firearms and ammunition. Now, in a society that fetishes self-reliance, the gun speaks to rugged individualism. Each person should be responsible for saving themselves. In a political culture that favors small government, the gun stands as a counterpoint to a lumbering and inefficient state. Defend yourself, because by the time the police get there, you'll be dead.
These claims for the gun are, of course, nonsense. Most people who are killed by guns kill themselves. People who have a gun in their houses are far more likely to be shot dead than those who don't. If more guns really make you safer, America would be one of the safest places in the world. As it is, 7 children or teenagers are shot dead on average every day. Once a week, a toddler injures someone with a gun.
The lack of legislation action to reduce this man-made epidemic continues to hold our country at gunpoint and prevent us from exercising our human rights. However, here comes a dilemma. Both those against and for guns use the Declaration of Human Rights as an argument to back up their beliefs. Article 3 of the Declaration states that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person.
Those against gun ownership claim that they do not feel safe due to the increasing number of guns in American households, which means that they feel their right to security is being violated.
Those in favor of gun ownership claim that their right to security is safer because they have guns, as most of them declare they have guns for self-defense. However, statistically, it is shown that it is quite rare that a gun is used for self-defense.
In 2017, firearms were used for self-defense about 2,000 times. This should be compared to 60,000 cases of non-defensive gun violence. This means that for every single person who defends herself with a gun, there are 30 people who suffer gun violence.
The Human Rights Council requested High Commissioner to submit a report on the different ways in which the civilian acquisition, possession, and use of firearms have been effectively regulated.
We might be running out of time, so we might have to conclude here.
Yes, well, the statistics are pretty clear. However, the country's opinions are still divided.
So we urge you to consider what you think is right. So please help us end this violence. Thank you.
Thank you.
CDS out.